My brother John brought me a knife drawing and challenged me. Could I make this amazing Bowie knife? I immediately accepted the challenge and got to work. First, I cut out the shape using an angle grinder, following the drawing exactly as it was designed. The drawing was made on a truck leaf spring, and this steel was extremely hard, so cutting it was not easy. Since the leaf spring was slightly bent, after cutting out the profile, I fired up my forge, heated the steel, and slowly straightened it with a hammer. The next stage was correcting the uneven areas with a hand file. Yes, I always use files on hard-to-reach places because they allow me to work more precisely. The next step was refining the contours on the belt grinder. I corrected the profile from every side until the knife finally received its proper shape. After that, I marked the handle holes and drilled them one by one. This turned out to be a fairly time-consuming process because the leaf spring steel was quite thick. Since the blade was very thick, I decided to thin the sides, so I leveled both sides on the belt grinder. Then I moved on to the most important stage for me, grinding the bevels. The bevels must be perfectly even and follow a straight line, so I worked very carefully to achieve the correct geometry. After that, I added a decorative groove along the side using an angle grinder to give the knife a more interesting and attractive design. Next, I sanded the blade to 180 grit and heated it in my forge to approximately 850 degrees Celsius before quickly quenching it in oil. Now the steel was hard and strong. I continued sanding all the way to 2000 grit and finally polished the blade. Then I moved on to the bolster. This time I used leaf spring steel for the bolster as well. I wanted it to match the color of the blade, so I chose steel instead of brass. I cut the bolster shape, drilled it, and pressed it into place with pins from both sides. Next, I drew the handle shape on a piece of wood and shaped it on the belt grinder. I drilled the wood and attached everything using brass pins and epoxy. Then I waited 24 hours for the epoxy to cure. Once the glue had fully hardened, I refined the handle on the belt grinder and finished everything by hand sanding. I polished the bolster, applied protective wax to the wood, and sharpened the blade up to 3500 grit. And this is the final result. If you think I won the challenge, make sure to subscribe to the channel.